Hey guys, in this video we're going to cover the entire process of how I made this photo from start to finish. Our base image is an image I got from a royalties-free stock site of a winter mountainscape. Before I started the screen capture, I added a gradient blur to the image just so it has a little bit of depth because it is our background image, so it needs to be out of focus. I made that 5.0. These are the images we are going to be working with. This is what I shot in front of the house today, and that is our snow particle effect, and that is our texture we'll be using. The foreground rocks I got from another image that I cut out and placed in, and I'm going to show you how to do that with our subject here. So we're going to grab our magic wand tool and duplicate our layer. We can't cut anything out of a single layer, so we always have to duplicate it. Make sure your magic wand tool is on the plus version, and because of the red and the stark contrast to the background, it's pretty easy to pick out. I always suggest if you're going to shoot something like this, shoot it against a background that will be easy for your subject to cut out, not with a lot of noise, branches, trees, anything like that that the wand might pick up on. So after we've got our guy, Command C to cut him, Command V to paste him, and then we're going to drag him over to our main image. We no longer need this. Moving on, same process, duplicate the layer and cut out our piece. When we bring our second piece of our guy into our main image, we're going to put him on top of the first piece of our subject. So to scale our image down or to make it larger, it's Command T, and to change it without any of the proportions changing, hold Shift and you can scale it up and down bigger and it'll keep everything the same. Once we've placed our image and we've gotten the right size, we're going to need to go in and clean up our edges and get rid of anything that's unwanted. And for this we're going to want to use a hard brush as opposed to a soft brush because we don't want any bleed into the cloak. We need these to be fine, harsh lines. So as you see, we're going to clean this up here on the edges and get rid of anything that's unwanted. Make sure to get rid of any rough edges the magic wand might have created. We're going to want everything here to be clean and as smooth as we can make it. We want to make this look as natural as possible. Once we've completed that, we're going to scale our guy to his right size. As you can see here, all the edges are smooth, everything is nice. So this is where we're at so far. And now we need to bring in his flowing cape. Now that we have the cape, again, duplicate the layer, same process. So once we bring the cape in, we're going to need to change its direction. And to do that, hit Command T and then go up to the width there and hit -100. This will flip the image so it is now facing the other way. And then we're going to want to take this and put it behind our subject so it looks like it's coming off of his back. Once we've done this, we're going to repeat the process that we did on our subject, and we're going to clean all the edges around the cape, and then we will position it so it looks natural, like it's coming off our guy, and he's got this now epic flowing cape. Next, what we're going to do is some shading on the rocks. Our rocks are just a little too bright. And to do this, we're just going to make a new layer, grab our paintbrush. We're going to use a soft brush tool this time, and we're going to go in here and we're just going to color these up. Once that's completed, we're going to go over to our opacity. We're going to want to lower the opacity down so now it looks like shadows. And over there, we can change this from normal to overlay to whatever we want. It'll affect the lighting and how it looks, but for this, we're probably going to stay with overlay. So what we finished there with was overlay and the opacity at 30. And we're going to add some more shading there under the rocks of the subject just to give it more definition in the cracks and add some shadows as if he was standing there. Again, this will have on an overlay at about 40%. Next, moving on to the cape, we'll add some shadows here. This will just add some definition. We're going to shade the face just so it gives the character a little more mystery. This we're going to leave at normal as opposed to overlay because we don't really want to brighten it at all. The opacity is at 87 and the fill is 72. We're going to skip these next few layers and we're going to go into the coloring. The first layer I usually do on images is a black and white layer. And the black and white layer just kind of brings everything together. As you can see right now, all of the images look kind of disjointed, but then once you add the black and white layer, it kind of becomes one image. And this you do just taking the opacity down. I have my opacity at 25%, and as you can see, adjusting the colors will change the look of the image and This is always a good way to start, a good base to build off of. And if you see, you can do overlay, you can change this again and it'll change the look, but for this particular photo we're going to stick with normal. Next is the selective color layer. This is my favorite tool to use. The first layer I always only focus on your core blacks, neutrals, and whites. You can go one way or the other. As you see, the farther you go, the drastic difference it affects the image. I try to keep everything pretty minimal, but yet enough to where we get the look that we're going for. So moving on, we'll then go to our second selective color layer. This one's focused solely on the reds. As you can see, the cape is now a little darker and the color is a little more rich. The third selective color layer will be focusing on the mountain background and our foreground rocks, and we'll be playing with the blues and the cyans. This is now creating the pop for the character off of the nice blue background. Next, we're going to add a brightness and contrast layer. As you can see on the right there, there's a lot of black on the layer of the brightness and contrast, and that's where I have erased. This I focus primarily on keeping the rocks and the subject lit. When you're erasing on color layers, make sure to use a soft brush. That'll make for nice blending. So then on our last selective color layer, this is going to be another red layer just to make the subject pop one more time, and then adding a brightness and contrast, erasing everything but the subject. Again, we're just adding a pop to the subject so he really stands out. And now we're going to add the fog elements. The fog elements is a simple PNG that you can just drag in the photo and erase and adjust to how you please. I'll have these available for download in the description. So once we've added those, we're going to add in our snow. Our snow is on a black background. This will also be available in the description download. And how we do this is we bring this in, scale it to our frame size, and we're going to change this from normal to screen. And when you're dealing with black backgrounds, you can change it from normal to either screen or lighten, and both of those will remove the black. When you change it to lighten, though, on a light background, you're going to lose any of the whites. So screen is the one suggested for lighter images. Lastly will be our texture layer, which will also be available for download in the description. This is one of my favorite things to use, and I probably use it in more images than I care to admit. When we bring this in, we're going to change the opacity down, and we're also going to change it from normal to overlay. As you can see, this kind of darkens everything and adds these cool vintage little streaks and lines. It kind of gives the image a look of a painting. And then once we've gotten this, I'm going to erase this from our subject so we don't have any unpleasing lines on the subject. And once that's done, the image is complete. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like this, and I will see you next time.